cream-colored wedding invitation sat on my kitchen counter like an elegant insult. Bold foil lettering announced the union of Madison Elizabeth Collins and James Harrison Sterling II at the Plaza Hotel. My sister's dream wedding to a man she called the perfect catch, a rising star at one of the country's largest investment firms. I, Emma Wilson, wasn't supposed to be just a guest. I was meant to be the maid of honor. At least that was the plan until yesterday. "Emma, we need to talk about your appearance at the wedding," Madison had said over lunch at her favorite overpriced bistro. She picked at her salad, not quite meeting my eyes. I glanced down at my outfit, simple black slacks and a navy blazer. Professional, understated, comfortable. What about it? Well, she sighed dramatically. James's family is very particular about these things. His mother is on the board of the Metropolitan Museum. His sister was just featured in Vogue. We need everything to be perfect. I knew where this was heading. Madison had always been embarrassed by my preference for simplicity. While she chased designer labels and social status, I focused on building something meaningful, even if nobody knew about it. "The bridesmaids' dresses are Vera Wang," she continued, "and everyone will be wearing Louboutins. Your usual choices. They just won't fit in." "Madison, I can buy a new dress. It's not just the dress," she burst out, her perfect makeup creasing with frustration. "It's everything. Your sensible shoes, your plain jewelry, that ancient car you insist on driving. You look like a small-town librarian, not a Collins." I touched the simple pearl necklace at my throat, our grandmother's last gift to me. "I like how I dress." "That's the problem." Madison threw her hands up. "You don't care about appearances at all. Do you know how it looks when people ask what my sister does, and I have to tell them you work at some tiny financial advisory firm?" I bit back a smile. My tiny firm was actually Wilson Global Investments, one of the most powerful private equity companies in the world. But Madison didn't know that. Nobody in my family did. "I saw the guest list," I said quietly. "James's boss is coming. Edward Sterling from Sterling Corp." Madison beamed. "Yes, Edward is James' uncle. The whole Sterling family will be there. That's why everything has to be perfect. Their connections could change our lives." If only she knew. Edward Sterling was actually my newest board member. I'd acquired his company 6 months ago in a friendly takeover, though the press still hadn't discovered who was behind the deal. "Madison, I tried one more time. I promise I won't embarrass you." She reached across the table, patting my hand with practiced condescension. "Oh, sweetie, you can't help it. You are who you are. That's why." She took a deep breath. "I think it's better if you don't come to the wedding." The bistro's ambient noise faded to a dull hum. "You're uninviting me from your wedding." "Don't be dramatic. I'm just trying to protect the family's image. James is going places, Emma. This wedding could open so many doors for all of us. I can't risk anything going wrong." I stared at my sister, this person who shared my blood but had somehow become a stranger. All because of how I dress. "It's not just that," she insisted. "It's what you represent. Everyone else has made something of themselves. Look at me, I'm marrying into the Sterling family. Even Mom and Dad have their country club status. But you," she shook her head, "you're just so ordinary." The irony almost made me laugh. That morning, I closed a $2 billion deal from my phone while getting coffee. My net worth was higher than the entire Sterling family combined. But to Madison, I was an embarrassment because I didn't flaunt it. "I see," I said, standing up. "Well, I wouldn't want to tarnish your perfect day." "Don't be like that," Madison pouted. "You can still send a gift. Something nice. You must have some savings, right?" I left without answering, my mind already turning over possibilities. For years, I kept my success private, building my empire in peaceful anonymity. But maybe it was time for a change. Back in my penthouse office, the one my family thought was a small financial advisory firm, I picked up my phone. "Sarah, connect me with James Sterling, please." My assistant's voice was professional, but I could hear her smile. "James Sterling II or Senior?" "Junior. And Sarah? Don't announce me, just put me through as a potential client." A moment later, James's eager voice filled the line. "James Sterling speaking. How can I help you today?" "Mr. Sterling, I'm calling about a rather significant investment opportunity. My firm is considering a substantial position in Morgan Stanley's new tech fund. Excellent. I could practically hear him sitting up straighter. May I ask which firm you're with? Wilson Global. There was a pause, then a sharp intake of breath. Wilson. Global? As in, Chairman Wilson's firm. The same. I had no idea they were considering. I mean, we'd be honored to. Would it be possible to set up a meeting? With the chairman? I smiled, thinking of Madison's dismissive words. Actually, I'd like to discuss this in person. Are you free tomorrow morning? The chairman will be in your office at 10 a.m. James stammered his agreement, probably already imagining the commissions from such a massive account. If he only knew he was talking to his future sister-in-law. After hanging up, I walked to my private dressing room, the size of Madison's entire apartment, and surveyed my collection of designer suits. For years, I'd saved these for overseas business meetings, preferring simpler clothes in my daily life. Sarah, I called out, cancel my morning meetings tomorrow, and send me the latest report on Sterling Corp's Asia expansion. I think it's time for Chairman Wilson to make a formal appearance. That night, as I stood in my penthouse overlooking the city, I thought about choices. Madison had chosen appearances over substance, status over sincerity. I'd chosen to build something real, something that would last beyond trending fashions and social climbing. Tomorrow, both our choices would collide in a way she never saw coming. And her perfect wedding. Well, that was about to become a lot more interesting. The next morning, I stood in my private dressing room, transforming myself from Emma, the embarrassing sister, into Chairman Wilson, one of the most powerful figures in global finance. The Armani suit, charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes, cost more than Madison's entire wedding dress. Louboutin heels, a Cartier watch, and grandmother's pearls completed the ensemble. The car is ready, Ms. Wilson, Sarah announced from the doorway, and Mr. Sterling has already called twice to confirm the meeting. I smiled at my reflection. How's his anxiety level? Through the roof. Apparently, he's had the office redecorated overnight and ordered in fresh flowers. His assistant says he hasn't slept. And my sister. Called him 4 times this morning. She's upset he's postponing their wedding venue tour for an anonymous client meeting. Perfect. The drive to Sterling Investment Group's offices took exactly 23 minutes. My driver, Thomas, pulled up to the curb precisely at 9:57 a.m. As I stepped out, I noticed the entire executive team waiting in the lobby, James standing front and center, practically vibrating with nervous energy. Chairman Wilson, he rushed forward, then stopped short, his face draining of color as recognition hit him. Emma? But, you? What? Good morning, Mr. Sterling, I said calmly, enjoying the way his eyes darted between my face and my obviously expensive attire. Shall we discuss that investment opportunity? Behind him, I could see his Uncle Edward trying and failing to hide his amusement. He kept my identity secret when I acquired Sterling Corp, understanding my desire for privacy. But you're Madison's sister, James stammered, the one who works at a small advisory firm. A common misconception, I replied, walking past him toward the elevator, one that I've never bothered to correct. Now about Morgan Stanley's tech fund. The next hour was almost comedic. James alternated between trying to maintain his professional demeanor and casting terrified glances at me, probably remembering every condescending comment he'd made about my simple lifestyle at family dinners. These projections, I said, pointing to his carefully prepared presentation, they're optimistic. Yes. Well, he tugged at his collar. We believe the Asian market shows signs of volatility that your models don't account for, I finished. Perhaps we should discuss the real reason I'm here. James swallowed hard. The real reason? The wedding. He sank into his chair. Madison doesn't know, does she? About who you really are? No, she doesn't. Just like she doesn't know that your family's company now works for me, or that your Uncle Edward reports to my board. Oh God, he whispered. Back in my office, I stared at the wedding invitation again. My phone had been buzzing nonstop, messages from Madison, James, even our parents, who had presumably heard the news. Sarah, I called out, what's my schedule like next month around the wedding date? You have that conference in Milan, she replied. The one where they're announcing you as Businesswoman of the Year. Perfect, said Madison a note. Tell her I won't be able to attend because I have a prior commitment. Add that I've made a donation to her favorite charity in lieu of a gift. How much? I thought about all the times Madison had made me feel small, all the years of condescension and judgment. $10 million. Anonymously, of course. Let her spend the rest of her life wondering if every major donation comes from her embarrassing sister. That evening, I changed back into my usual simple clothes and drove my unfashionable Tesla to my favorite small restaurant. The owner, Maria, greeted me warmly, not caring what I wore or who I was. My phone buzzed again. Madison calling for the 20th time. I sent it to voicemail and ordered my usual pasta. Bad day? Maria asked, noticing my distraction. Interesting one, I replied. Sometimes people forget that true value isn't about designer labels or social status. Sometimes it's about being exactly who you are, even when others can't see your worth. Wise words, she smiled. More wine? Yesterday, I continued, my sister uninvited me from her wedding because I wasn't sophisticated enough for the Sterling family, because my presence might embarrass her in front of her new social circle. Emma, I had no idea she. Of course you did. I cut him off. You were there last Christmas when she mocked my car. You laughed when she called my clothes clearance rack chic. You even joined in, suggesting I should invest in my appearance if I wanted to be taken seriously. The blood drained from his face. I didn't mean. The interesting thing about appearance, I said, standing up, is how deceiving it can be. For instance, I appear to be sitting here considering an investment in your fund. In reality, I'm deciding whether to accelerate the restructuring of Sterling Corp's Asian division. Restructuring, currently scheduled for next quarter. Though as chairman, I could move it up. Perhaps even announce it before, say, a certain high-profile wedding. Just then, the door burst open. Madison stormed in, her designer heels clicking against the marble floor. James, what is going on? I've been trying to reach you all morning. We have appointments, she froze, seeing me. Emma? What are you doing here? And what are you wearing? I turned slowly, enjoying the way her eyes widened as she took in my transformation. Hello, Madison. James and I were just discussing business. Business? She looked between us, confusion evident. What business could you possibly have with James? Actually, James's voice cracked. Emma is. Chairman Wilson, Edward Sterling said from the doorway, making everyone jump. The board is ready for you. Shall we discuss the Asia strategy? Madison's perfectly glossed lips fell open. Chairman Wilson? Yes, I smiled. Though you might know me better as your embarrassing little sister. But that's impossible, she sputtered. You work at that tiny firm. Wilson Global Investments, I corrected her. Founded by me 8 years ago. Current market value, $43 billion. Though the press still hasn't figured out who Chairman Wilson really is, I prefer to let my work speak for itself. Madison sank into the nearest chair, her designer dress wrinkling. All this time, I've built something real while you chased appearances. And now you've uninvited me from your wedding because I'm not good enough for the Sterling family. I turned to James. Though technically, the Sterling family works for me. Emma, Madison's voice wavered. I didn't know. Clearly, you were too busy judging the cover to read the book. I gathered my papers, tucking them into my Hermes briefcase, another item I usually kept hidden. James, have your team revise those projections. I want to see real numbers, not just what you think will impress the board. Yes, Chairman, he mumbled. And Madison? I paused at the door. About the wedding. Don't worry, I won't embarrass you by attending, but you might want to rethink the venue. I just bought the Plaza Hotel this morning. Apparently, they're closing for renovations next month. Such unfortunate timing. I left them there, Madison's soft crying following me down the hall. Edward fell into step beside me. That was rather theatrical, he observed. Sometimes a lesson needs to be dramatic to be learned. And the Plaza? Did you really buy it? I smiled. No, but they think I did, and sometimes appearance is everything. Isn't that what my sister always says? Back in my office, I stared at the wedding invitation again. My phone had been buzzing nonstop. Messages from Madison, James, even our parents, who had presumably heard the news. Sarah. I called out, what's my schedule like next month around the wedding date? You have that conference in Milan, she replied. The one where they're announcing you as Businesswoman of the Year. Perfect. Send Madison a note. Tell her I won't be able to attend because I have a prior commitment. Add that I've made a donation to her favorite charity in lieu of a gift. How much? I thought about all the times Madison had made me feel small, all the years of condescension and judgment. $10 million. Anonymously, of course. Let her spend the rest of her life wondering if every major donation comes from her embarrassing sister. That evening, I changed back into my usual simple clothes and drove my unfashionable Tesla to my favorite small restaurant. The owner, Maria, greeted me warmly, not caring what I wore or who I was. My phone buzzed again. Madison calling for the 20th time. I sent it to voicemail and ordered my usual pasta. Bad day? Maria asked, noticing my distraction. Interesting one, I replied. Sometimes people forget that true value isn't about designer labels or social status. Sometimes it's about being exactly who you are, even when others can't see your worth. Wise words, she smiled. More wine? Please. I thought about Madison, probably still reeling from the revelation. About James, desperately revising his projections. About my parents, who would soon discover that their underachieving daughter was actually the business genius they'd always wanted. But mostly, I thought about myself, about the choice I made years ago to build something meaningful rather than chase appearances. Madison's wedding would go on, though perhaps at a different venue. She'd marry into the Sterling family, though with a very different power dynamic than she'd imagined. And me? I'd go back to running my empire, quietly changing the world without needing anyone's approval. Sarah texted me, "Your sister just sent an email. She's officially re-inviting you to the wedding. Says she's sorry and hopes you'll reconsider attending." I typed back, "Send her the Millen conference schedule. And Sarah, book me a suite at the plaza for next week. I think it's time Chairman Wilson made a few more public appearances." Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were right all along. Madison wanted a perfect wedding. Instead, she got a perfect lesson in judgment and worth. And me, I got something better than revenge. I got to be exactly who I am, without apology or pretense. Sometimes that's the greatest success of all. As I finished my wine, I made a mental note to buy this restaurant, not to change it or make it trendy, but to preserve it exactly as it was. A reminder that true value doesn't always wear designer labels.
The crystal chandeliers of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom sparkled above my father's 60th birthday celebration. I sat quietly in a corner, watching my sister Emily bask in our family's adoration while checking the pre-market trading data on my phone. "Ms. Chen," the message read, "Final IPO preparations complete. TechFusion stock set to open at $150. Projected first-day valuation, $85 billion. Charlotte still playing with her phone apps. Emily's voice carried across the room. Meanwhile, my hedge fund just closed another billion-dollar deal. I smiled slightly, thinking about the hedge fund that would soon be worth less than a fraction of my company's value. My sister, the successful one, had no idea what was about to happen when the market opened in exactly 2 hours. At least one child succeeded, Dad beamed, hugging Emily. Senior partner at 35. That's the Hamilton legacy. The Hamilton legacy. If they only knew what I'd built while they were focused on Emily's traditional success. My phone buzzed again. Pre-market interest unprecedented. Major funds positioning for opening bell. Charlotte. Mom appeared at my table, pearls glinting with disapproval. "Do put that phone away. The Andersons are asking about you." Though I told them, "You're still finding yourself." Finding myself. Like building a technology empire that was about to make me one of the richest people in the world. But they didn't need to know that. Not yet. Ms. Chen, another alert. Wall Street Journal front page ready. TechFusion IPO set to create youngest self-made billionaire in history. Still working on that little tech startup? Emily sauntered over, champagne in hand. "You know, my fund manages billions. Real money, not just computer games." "Your fund manages billions," I thought, "but my company's about to be worth more than your entire industry." Charlotte. Dad joined us, investment reports tucked under his arm. "The Wilsons firm is hiring junior analysts." Emily could put in a word. "Time to get a real job, don't you think?" A real job. Like creating the most advanced AI platform in history? Like building a company that would soon be worth more than every firm in this room combined? Ms. Chen, my CFO messaged, your personal stake at IPO price, $45 billion. You'll become the richest person under 40 in the world. Look at her, Emily Stage whispered to Mom. Hiding in corners with her phone while real business happens. Maybe this will finally make her understand that success requires more than playing with computers. Real business. Like the technology that was about to revolutionize global commerce? The platform that would make their traditional banking obsolete? Charlotte, Mom tried again, at least mingle. The Morgan's daughter just made vice president at Goldman. Everyone's talking about her success. I checked my watch, custom Patek Philippe, worth more than their annual salaries combined. 2 hours until they learned what real success looked like. Ms. Chen, my phone lit up. CNBC exclusive interview scheduled after bell. Current headline, unknown tech founder set to disrupt global finance. At least Emily understands business, Dad announced to his banking friends. Some people just aren't cut out for real success. Real success. I looked around the ballroom at all these successful people in their designer clothes, celebrating my father's birthday. None of them knew that the family failure in the corner was about to become richer than all of them combined. Such a shame, my father's voice carried. All that potential and she ends up playing with computer programs. I smiled, watching the pre-market numbers climb. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's having them watch your success on every financial news channel in the world. Ms. Chen, final message flashed. NYSE ready for opening bell. Your car arrives in 90 minutes. Let them enjoy their champagne and self-importance for now. In 2 hours they'd learn what the family failure had been building all along. The CNBC broadcast played silently on the ballroom's massive screens, showing pre-market coverage of what they called the most anticipated IPO in history. No one in the room was paying attention. Except me. Ms. Chen, my phone buzzed. Pre-market trading demand unprecedented. Major funds requesting billions in allocation. Initial price may hit $200 per share. Still watching financial news? Emily smirked, nodding at the TV. Some new tech company going public. Probably another bubble waiting to burst. That bubble was about to make me worth more than every person in this room combined. My phone lit up again. Your real-time net worth estimate updated. $52 billion at current pre-market pricing. Charlotte, Dad called out, come here. Tell everyone about your little computer project. Emily, tell them about your latest fund performance. Emily straightened her Gucci dress. A knockoff of the original design I'd been gifted by the designer himself last week. Well, our fund just crossed $10 billion under management. Ms. Chen, my assistant messaged, Goldman Sachs requesting personal meeting after bell. Your AI platform has their entire trading desk nervous. $10 billion. Mom beamed at Emily. That's real business, Charlotte. Not like those apps you're always working on. Those apps had just revolutionized artificial intelligence, machine learning and global finance. But they'd learn that soon enough. Breaking news, scrolled across the TV screens, TechFusion IPO expected to create new tech giant. Markets prepare for historic opening. Oh look, Emily pointed at the screen, another tech startup thinking they'll change the world. Charlotte, isn't that your, what do you call it? Industry. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Ms. Chen, your security detail is in position. Car arriving in 45 minutes for NYSE opening bell ceremony. Speaking of success, Dad raised his glass. Emily's fund just got approved for Federal Reserve trading. That's the Hamilton name opening doors. I checked my watch again. The Hamilton name was about to mean something very different in about an hour. Ms. Chen, my CFO messaged, Wall Street Journal running story. Unknown founder set to become world's youngest female billionaire. Charlotte, Mom appeared with the Morgans, do tell them about your work. Though perhaps focus on your college degree instead of those computer things. Those computer things that had just attracted $100 billion in pre-market trading interest. My phone buzzed again, stock likely to open at $250. Your net worth projection, $60 billion. The TV suddenly got louder as someone unmuted it. Largest tech IPO in history. TechFusion's revolutionary AI platform has every major financial institution scrambling. These tech companies, Emily laughed, thinking they can compete with traditional finance. Right, Dad? Dad nodded sagely. Real business is what Emily does. Managing real money, not playing with computers. Miss Chin, my security chief messaged, NYSE trading floor prepared for your arrival. All major networks standing by. I watched as Emily held court, explaining her massive fund strategy to admiring relatives. None of them noticed that their phones all ran on my AI technology, that their banks all depended on my platform. 30 minutes to market open, the TV announced. TechFusion founder set to ring opening bell. Charlotte, Dad sighed, at least try to learn from your sister's success. Not everyone can handle real finance, but maybe you could start small. Start small. Like building the most valuable tech company in history? Like revolutionizing global finance while they mocked my computer games? Miss Chin, my phone lit up. Your car has arrived. Time to make history. I stood quietly gathering my things. In exactly 27 minutes, every screen in this ballroom would show them what real success looked like. Where are you going? Mom frowned. The party's not over. To work, I smiled. I have a rather important meeting at the stock exchange. The stock exchange? Emily laughed. What would you be doing there? I glanced at the TV, where CNBC was showing the packed trading floor waiting for TechFusion's founder to arrive. Ringing the opening bell. The silence that followed was deafening. Emily's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips as she processed what I'd just said. Ringing the what? Dad sputtered, his eyes darting between me and the TV screens showing the NYSE trading floor. Miss Chin, my phone buzzed, all major networks live. Pre-market trading has pushed valuation to $95 billion. Your real-time net worth approaching $65 billion. You can't be. Emily started, but her voice trailed off as the TV anchor's words filled the suddenly quiet ballroom. Breaking news. TechFusion founder Charlotte Hamilton set to ring opening bell. Sources say IPO will create youngest female billionaire in history. The room erupted in chaos as my family's phones buzzed simultaneously with news alerts. Tech's new queen. Charlotte Hamilton's $95 billion empire. Family's failed daughter behind largest tech IPO in history. Hamilton name redefined. How Charlotte built a tech giant in secret. But you work from your apartment. Emily's voice cracked. Playing with computers. Actually, I smiled, straightening my Brunello Cucinelli blazer. I was building the most advanced artificial intelligence platform in history. Those computer games just revolutionized global finance. Miss Chin, my CFO messaged, Goldman Sachs reports unprecedented buying pressure. Opening price estimated at $300. Your net worth will exceed $70 billion at open. Dad stumbled forward, his banking instincts fighting through the shock. Princess, why didn't you tell us? We could have. Could have what? I raised an eyebrow. Taken me seriously? Noticed that while Emily was managing billions, I was creating them. The TV screens now showed my corporate biography, detailing how I'd built TechFusion from my little apartment, while my family dismissed my work as childish computer games. Charlotte, Mom whispered, her social mask cracking, all those times we told you to get a real job. I had one, I replied calmly. Creating technology that makes traditional banking obsolete. Right, Emily? Emily was frantically scrolling through her phone, likely reading about how her hedge fund's entire trading system ran on my AI platform. Miss Chin, my security chief approached. Your escort to NYSE is ready. Trading floor awaiting your arrival. But you never said anything. Emily burst out. When I bragged about my fund, when I told you to grow up and get a real career. While you were managing billions, I smiled. I was revolutionizing how those billions move. Check your fund's trading platform. It runs on my technology. The ballroom TVs now showed the packed trading floor, where financial titans waited for the founder they'd never seen. The mysterious woman who'd created an AI system that had made their traditional trading models obsolete. Ms. Chin, my phone lit up. Final valuation update. Opening at $350. You will become the richest self-made woman in history within the hour. All this time. Dad sank into a chair, his birthday celebration forgotten. While we were praising Emily's success. I was building something slightly bigger, I finished for him. Emily manages billions. I created a platform worth 100 times that. The room had become a tableau of shocked faces and dropped jaws. These were the same people who'd spent years dismissing my work, praising Emily's real success, telling me to get a proper job. But the family legacy, Mom started, is about to change dramatically, I cut her off. The Hamilton name will now be known for revolutionizing global finance. Just not in the way you expected. More phones buzzed as another wave of news broke. TechFusion AI platform already powers 80% of global financial transactions. Hamilton Tech Empire, how the failed daughter outshone them all. Miss Chen, my assistant messaged, NYSE chairman personally requesting your presence. Market opening in 20 minutes. The sound of helicopter blades thudded overhead as my transportation to the NYSE arrived. Through the ballroom's glass ceiling, guests could see my company logo emblazoned on the sleek black aircraft. Miss Chen, my phone buzzed, final pre-market update, opening price $375. You will be worth approximately $80 billion at market open. Bloomberg requesting first interview. That's your helicopter? Emily's voice had lost its usual condescension. But my fund, we're considered a major player. Your fund, I smiled, checking the markets on my phone, is worth less than what my company will make in its first hour of trading. The TV screens were now split between the NYSE trading floor and my biography, Charlotte Hamilton, from family failure to tech titan. Miss Chen, my security team approached. Trading floor reports unprecedented activity. Your AI platform is already affecting global markets pre-opening. Dad was still staring at his phone, scrolling through article after article about his unsuccessful daughter's empire. TechFusion's AI, it's in everything, he whispered. Banks, trading systems, global finance. Including Emily's successful hedge fund, I nodded. That impressive trading algorithm you bragged about last Christmas? It runs on my technology. Mom had sunk into a chair, her perfectly maintained facade crumbling as she watched CNBC announce. Charlotte Hamilton set to become world's youngest female billionaire, net worth expected to hit $80 billion. But you work from your apartment. Emily tried one last time. All those times I told you about my billion-dollar deals. I remember, I interrupted. I was usually in the middle of trillion-dollar technology deployments during those conversations. Miss Chen, my phone lit up. Your real-time net worth tracking is now live on Bloomberg. Forbes updating billionaire list to place you in top 5 globally. The helicopter landed on the hotel's private pad, visible through the ballroom's windows. My security team formed a path through the stunned crowd. Charlotte, Dad stepped forward, his voice taking on the tone he used for business opportunities. We should discuss this as a family. Your company, your success. My success. I laughed softly. Like when you told the Morgans I was still finding myself last week. Or when you begged me to take that junior analyst position at Emily's fund. The room fell silent as another news alert hit everyone's phones. TechFusion AI now powers 90% of global financial transactions. Traditional banking face obsolescence. Emily's phone rang. Probably her fund's investors panicking about the new tech giant that controlled their trading systems. Miss Chen, my CFO messaged, your personal wealth just exceeded the combined net worth of everyone at this party. Times 1,000. Well, I gathered my things preparing to leave. I should head to Wall Street. Unlike some forms of success, this one requires actually showing up to work. But the party. Mom stammered. Don't worry, I smiled. You can watch my success on every financial channel. Though you might want to adjust your definition of real business first. The security team moved forward, clearing my path to the helicopter. These were the same people who'd spent years dismissing my work as playing with computers. Oh, and Emily? I paused at the door. About those billion-dollar deals you love bragging about. Check your trading terminal. My little computer project just made that much in the time we've been talking. Miss Chen, my phone buzzed one final time. Market opening in 15 minutes. Your historic moment awaits. I turned back to my stunned family, watching their world reshape itself around the success they'd never seen coming. Happy birthday, Dad, I said softly. Consider this your gift, a lesson in what real success looks like. From your unsuccessful daughter. As the helicopter lifted off, I could see them through the ballroom's glass ceiling. The family that had dismissed me, the sister who had overshadowed me, the parents who had doubted me, all staring up as their failure daughter headed to Wall Street to make history. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's having them watch that success transform the very industry they thought you couldn't understand. After all, who needs a hedge fund when you own the technology that powers the entire financial world?